Hey y'all, so I'm gonna talk about the project that we're doing for the end of the year slash for the rest of the semester. It's gonna be a newscast project where essentially you are going to be a newscaster. No worries, because y'all will not be making the video. All my kids in class, like in person, will have to make a video, but y'all are not making a video. But here's kind of what this project entails. We're gonna work with it every week all the way through to the end of the year. So first things first, um, since you guys took the English 2 STAR test, typically you would have a final, and the final would count for 20% of your grade. We had a final for first semester, but since you took the English 2 STAR test, there is no final for the second semester, meaning that come May, we will not have a final. We will instead have a fourth summative grade. Okay? So we won't have a final, so it won't be worth 20% of your grade, but we will have a fourth summative. So we will have a test grade, and you cannot exempt that test grade. Okay? You are not allowed to exempt it because it's just a summative. It's not a final. It's just a regular test. So, newscast project is going to be that final fourth test. Okay? So, here's how it works. Um, that test, that project will be 100 points. 40 points will be for a system or issue where you'll discuss a system or a social issue that is in your book. 20 points will be from a commercial that you make advertising your book or like the book is a movie. And then 40 points will be from you conducting an interview with a character from your book. So this will take a little bit of inferencing what the character would say, maybe using some quotes in the book, as well as you like making sure that your answers make sense. So here's how your 40 points, 20 points, 40 points work. So for 40 points of your explanation of your systems and social issues, you'll need a background information summary of the system or social issue that you choose to talk about. You need to find um, at least two sources. This means that at some point you'll be doing research. So you'll find sources. You'll have a quote from source number one. You'll have a quote from source number two. You'll analyze it and talk about how the effects of that system or social issue kind of like affect different people. And otherwise, you'll also be graded on your word count. So this part will be written. So your explanation of social issues will be written. Coming down here, your interview with the character will also be written. You'll have to ask and answer all three interview questions as the character. You'll have to cite evidence used during the character interview. You'll have to have a call to action, and you'll be also graded on your word count. Now, a part of this that is not written will be the commercial. And commercial you'll make using either a video editing software or Canva. You don't have to come out in it. It can be totally no voice, right? But it will be like a small commercial. You'll have a book movie advertisement with two quotes in the theme of the book. And then you'll be graded on like the amount of time that it takes. So this is just a really general, rough outline of what's going to happen. It seems like a lot of stuff. It is a lot of stuff, but we have about 5 or 6 weeks until the end of the year, and every week we will do something for this project. So that way, by the end, it is not overwhelming and you have everything you already need. You'll just have to put it all together. Our goals. First, you'll have to read. You'll have to read in order to understand the context of your character, especially to do that interview with the character part. Otherwise, you guys, since you're all virtual, you'll work by yourselves. Unless you have a partner that you also know is virtual that's in my class, then you can work together, but otherwise, you're working by yourself. Um, Main thing, stick to the timeline. Don't get left behind, meaning that when work is due, please turn it in on time so that way you're not left behind and having to do a whole lot more things. So that way you're trying to catch up. Like, I don't want you to have to play catch up. Like, let's just go with this 1 week at a time and you should be fine. Otherwise, you guys are going to turn in a script as the final product. My in person classes will turn in a video. Y'all are just going to turn in a script, okay? Looking forward, this week is just kind of the overview of all the books that are available, overview of kind of what's going on for the rest of the weeks, what this newscast project is. Next week, you guys are going to create character evidence for the newscast by inferencing what your character would say in Instagram posts and text messages. The week after, You guys will do research for your newscast and create a bibliography. That's just a works cited page. So if I come back over here, right, I said that you needed to find background information about the social issue or the system that you choose to talk about, and you'll need quotes from sources. Okay, well, when we do this research week right here, that's when you're going to find all that stuff. Okay, and you're going to create a bibliography for it so that way you have all of your work cited already. Week after that, we're going to make book covers. We'll create, so, okay. So you will choose a character that you want to interview for this newscast project, right? That character, we're going to pretend that that character wrote an autobiography, and you're going to create a book for their autobiography, and it's going to have symbolism, themes, the colors will be like specifically picked, the font will be specifically picked. Like it's going to be very thematic, okay? And your character during the interview with character part will promote that autobiography. And that will make more sense when we get to it, okay? The week after that, you guys will focus on creating your Canva video commercial. It should be about 1 minute. It's going to be really simple, and it's just going to kind of talk about themes and be like a movie trailer, really, or be like a book trailer, so that people will want to read or see your book that you're actually reading. Okay. And then last but not least, that last week of school, right before like the finals week, we'll be finishing up that newscast and submitting it for a final grade. So that's going to be putting everything together. Submitting your commercial will be part of the final grade, and then all this research and stuff. Okay, now you're going to finally write your full script, and you're going to send it in as a Google Doc, submit it. Okay, so that's kind of looking forward. That's how the rest of the semester is going to play out. How am I taking grades though? Your reading guide. So I'm gonna place your reading guide in y'all's Schoology, and I'm just gonna be checking that reading guide. So it's not gonna be due until the very end of the year, probably May 24th. But every single week on Friday, or probably Saturday, Friday or Saturday, like Friday night, Saturday morning, I'm going to check your reading guide and just mark it. Like I'll comment on it. And it's really just completion to make sure that you're reading to see how far you're getting. And depending on how far you get, if I need to fill in kind of things for you as to like, hey, you want to talk about this specific social issue or system, but you don't know how the character reacts to it, because you didn't get as far as you should, then I'll fill you in on some of that stuff. But otherwise, I'm going to be checking your reading guides every single week, and you're going to be graded on completion and then like the accuracy. Like if you're just typing in like blah, 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 nothing because you're just trying to fill it out, like I'm going to give you a low grade. Like actually read, fill it out. Sometimes we'll have like a reading quiz, or an impromptu discussion post where I'll ask you like a question from your book and you just try and answer it. Or we'll do those reading quizzes, and that can be a grade. But most of the time I'll probably just be taking the completion of certain portions of your project as a grade, right? So like next week I'm probably going to take your character creation as a grade. Um, I may even take something like that where your completion or your reading guide as a summative grade, but I will let you know in advance, okay? But otherwise, that's mainly it. So, depending on the book you choose, here are some systems and social issues that you can talk about in your newscast. I would pick one of these before doing anything else. Before you do any of this, make sure you know which system and social issue you're going to talk about. So here are some of the things that happen in each book depending on which class you're in, okay? Um, some classes are reading different books. So if you're reading Monday's Not Coming, um, things that show up that you can talk about: bullying, domestic violence, missing black and brown girls or kids in general. If you're reading Perks of Being a Wallflower, peer pressure, suicide, sexual assault. If you're reading Dear Martin, the justice system, racial profiling and stereotyping, and then overall like racism. If you're reading Speak, sexual assault, anxiety and depression, and then bullying. If you're reading The Kite Runner, the caste system that they have between, oh my gosh, I can't remember right now. But they have a caste system between like Amir and Hassan. I think one of it is like Hasadas, and the other one I can't remember right now. But there's a caste system that's used in Afghanistan, so you can talk about that. Sexual assault, war and violence, and then otherwise guilt. And then if you're reading A Long Way Gone, Memoirs of a Boy Soldier, you could talk about war and violence, child soldiers, and rehabilitation. So these are all the systems and social issues you can talk about. Please stick to ones that make sense with your book. Like if you're reading Monday's Not Coming and you want to talk about the caste system of the kite runner, it is not going to make much sense, right? So please stick with whatever you're reading. I think most people have chosen to read Monday's Not Coming, which I would say stick with like talking about maybe bullying, domestic violence, missing black and brown kids in America. Okay. If you can find another social issue or system that is discussed in the book and it's not on this page specifically, just message me and let me know, and I'll tell you yes or no if you can or can't talk about it. Um, Mainly just so that way, like if I know it's in there, but it's only a little part and it's not going to make much sense overall, then that's the only reason I would probably tell you no. Otherwise, if it's another like social issue that's really in there, um, for sure, yes, we can talk about it. But just let me know beforehand if it's not on here and you want to talk about it, so that way I can make sure one, that it's in there, and two, that you'll have enough content in order to do your final project with, okay? And that's it. So if you have questions, please let me know in the discussion for today, which is Friday. And otherwise, um, yeah, have a great week. I'll explain things more as we go through them. And then next week, like the thing will have instructions and you'll use it later on. Like you'll be very fine. Like I promise you. All right. Bye, guys.